Most developing countries are in the process or have already managed to converge with those already developed, and yet there are countries that have been excluded from this process. These are the countries that, according to Paul Collier, form the bottom billion, and this is what the author goes through in his book written in 2007. First of all, what does the author mean when he talks about the bottom billion? It's a minority of 58 countries concentrated in Africa and Central Asia, where about 1 billion people live. Their economies have been stagnating for more than 40 years and are regressing, so instead of converging with the other countries, they're moving further and further away, creating this huge current divergence. According to the author, these countries cannot get out of this situation on their own, because they are in one of several of the so-called poverty traps, which are very difficult to overcome. We can understand them as a series of difficulties that cause the lack of capacity to grow and the stagnation of their economies. The poverty traps are the conflict trap, the landlocked with bad neighbours trap, the natural resources trap, and the one of bad governance in a small country. Let's go deeper into the conflict trap. Number 1, low income. It is war that makes a country poor, or is it a country's poverty which leads it to war? We can find a certain correlation in this relationship, as civil war reduces income at the same time that low income heightens the risk of war. On the second point, this is where Collier focuses on the fact that the poorer the country is, the higher the risk of civil war. Number 2, slow growth. Countries where the growth is negative or very low have higher risks of civil war. Collier emphasises that even though it may seem that decline causes war, it is often the anticipation of war that causes decline. With a view of the civil war and the future economic situation, foreign companies stop investing in an area, jobs are destroyed, and the population's income fall. This leads to hopelessness for the population and at the same time easier recruitment of young people into rebel armies. Number 3, weak state. If the economy is weak, the state is also likely to be weak, and therefore the conflict is more likely to arise, as it's easier for rebels and different groups in society to create armies in order to impose control over the country that the state cannot supply. Number 4, dependency upon primary commodity exports. Dependency upon resources such as oil or diamonds increases significantly the risks of civil war in a country. Natural resources help to finance conflict and sometimes even help to motivate it. It's been found that international companies have given big amounts of funding to rebel movements in return for resource concessions in the event of the victory of the groups they support. Therefore, according to Collier's writing on poverty trap, poor countries have a tendency towards civil wars and coup d'etat. In addition, low income, slow growth, weak state, and abundant resources are factors that worsen the problem. Conflicts generate poverty, while poverty generates more conflict.